I want you to guess how much you think the business is worth now. If you had to just throw ballpark number.
Okay. 100 mil?
$500 million. One. Okay, we're live. We're live, episode 2 of the Business and Banter podcast. Welcome back to anyone who's seeing us again, and welcome to anyone who's seeing us for the first time. It's a podcast we chat business, we chat banter, a mixture of both, and a whole load of everything in between. I guess kind of fits in that. So, my name's Trevor Foyer. Of course, I'm with Craig Wandham Cosera, my brother-in-law, but also one of my closest friends, my business partner now since starting this podcast.
Your sidekick, your Robin.
Yeah. the Batman to my Robin right there. Yeah. So, we'll kick it off. We've got a few ideas. I don't know, do you want me to start or do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay, I'll start. So, first up, have you heard of the Hamilton collection?
Not really. I think I heard something before.
Perfect.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. It sounds probably fancier than it is, but basically the Hamilton collection is I just came across it randomly this week. It's a YouTube channel. It's a guy, like I've been getting back into cars. Like I really liked cars. I used to listen to car podcasts and stuff back in the day, maybe a couple of years back. But it's a YouTube channel of a guy called Steve Hamilton, and he has a lot of cars, like 30 plus cars, top end Bugattis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, McLarens, that kind of thing. And this guy, anytime I see someone with like a lot of cars, and it's actually his, and they were burning through them. They were, he wasn't being too careful, so they look like it was rentals. Like it seems like it's his cars.
Yeah.
I always get intrigued about like what they do, because it's, for most of them, it's normally just a hobby. It's very rare that it's like they're making content about cars is what's making the money for them. Especially when you have 30 plus cars. I think his collection's worth like 20 million or something ridiculous like that. It's very rare that So it's very rare that the business comes from cars. So I went and I saw that he had a podcast with what's his name, on the Iced Coffee Hour with
Graham.
What's his name? Yeah, Graham Stephan.
Graham. Yeah, Graham. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to the podcast and also delved into just a little bit of like his story, and I thought it'd be interesting just to share with you, because I think you'll like this. So this guy Steve, he grows up in, I think it's like Chicago or something like that. Like pretty poor childhood. I think he said that like the generations of his family, like his great granddad, his granddad, and his great grandparents, his grandparents, and his parents were all like addicted to alcohol. So it's like, kind of coming out of that is, to break that mold is quite tough. So I think he was very, very poor to start off with. I think it's him and like a few siblings, I'm not too sure. But this guy at 19 gets his first job. Gets his first, works and saves up and finally gets his first car. And when he gets his first car, he's always been into cars. When he gets his first car, he decides he wants to change the wheels on it to upgrade it, So he wants to buy some custom wheels for his car, but there's only one supplier in the... I think there's only one supplier in America, but there's only one supplier like close to him in his area that he could get in touch with. And, before that, there's only... He takes the car to the garage, and they say to him, oh, okay, it will cost you $600 to get all the wheels changed. And he says, oh, okay. So he's like, oh, you know what? Let me try and change the wheels myself, because it's not too difficult, but I want to buy. So he goes to the garage and says, oh, I'll buy the tires off you. And they say to him, like, I think it said $400 or whatever. And he was like, it's quite a lot. So he's like, I might as well get this cheaper from the supplier themselves. So he goes direct to the supplier, calls them and says, like, can I buy, these replacement wheels from you? I want to put them on my car. And they say to him, oh no, sorry, we only do trade customers. So he says, okay, fine. Goes off the phone. Next day now, he calls them again. pretend he's Steve from a company. And he's like, yeah, hi, it's it's Steve from, you know, this garage or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to sort some wheels. We're starting a new garage up. Apparently, he's like, it's always like a stroke of luck because they don't ask him for any proof that he owns a company or anything like that. They just take, I think it was like a simple ID, and they let him start buying stock from there. He realizes they're charging like, I think it's like $80 per wheel. Something like $75 per wheel or something like that. So which means he can get the full set for $250, whereas the garage is trying to charge him $400 just for the set. So he's like, oh, okay. This one garage in my area is trying to charge him $400, and I can get it directly from the supplier for $250. So he says, okay, cool. This is in 2003, bearing in mind, so it's very early internet. He gets these wheels, starts putting them on eBay. At this point, I think he said he was working like a minimum wage job. It's like $9 an hour. So he's making like maybe $50, $60, $100 a month. Gets these wheels, and he says, oh, okay. Replaces his car, but then he realizes, oh, I can just get these wheels and sell them on eBay. So he posts them on eBay. He puts them on for $500 for the set, because then he can go anywhere in America. $500 for the set. He sells 8 in his first week. Sells 8 of these sets of wheels in his first week, makes $2,000. So he's made in his first week of you know, he has his hobby, he likes cars and all of that. In his first week of finding out that he can go straight to the supplier, he puts them at eBay and sells 8 in the first week, which would equivalent for him would be like a month's wage. He makes it in a week, and he's like, okay, so it ticks. He's like, all right, okay, cool. So now he builds this relationship with the supplier, and he lists basically everything they have on eBay. Everything they have.
So everything they have in their shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He lists the whole stock on eBay pretty much. So he's essentially a seller for them, just on eBay. Starts doing that. Starts building that. Builds himself a business. Obviously, it was 2003. He's been going for like 20 years now. And I want you to take a guess. Oh yeah, he starts the business. His business calls it SD Wheel, which stands for Steve's Discount Wheels. But
okay.
Yeah, I want you to guess how much you think the business is worth now, if you had to just throw a ballpark number.
Okay. 100 mil?
$500 million.
Oh man!
$500 million on just wheels. Bear in mind, it's just wheels and just things to go, things in and around the wheels. So wheels, shock absorbers, tires, that kind of stuff. Maybe brake pads. It's literally just wheel based things. $500 million company, which is like absolutely crazy, right? So this guy obviously does this 20 years. He's worked hard to get it to there, and I think he still owns about 40% of the company. So most of his net worth is tied in there. But I'm sure as soon as he gets this,
so who owns the rest? Is it like a venture capitalist or?
So yeah, I think he ended up selling a few like bits along the way. I think he wanted less responsibility. He's like a very family oriented guy. I'll kind of touch into that anyway, but he's very family oriented. So I think for the last 3 years, I think he kind of stepped away from the business, sold a large chunk, and had like someone else running it for him. But yeah, so that was the case. And $500 million business, and then during the pandemic, he starts this YouTube channel called the Hamilton Collection, because he's always been into cars. So he's got this collection of like 30 plus supercars, hypercars. Starts the YouTube channel called the Hamilton Collection, and in 2-3 years, whatever it is, he's over 500,000 views now. And there's like really cool content, obviously, like because he owns the cars, and he's not one of these guys who's careful with it. He kind of gets 30 friends and says, let's all just rack the cars, whether it's worth 1.5 million or 60 grand or whatever it is. We're just racking the cars, absolutely gonna tear them apart. He starts this, grows the YouTube channel to 400,000 subscribers. He says it makes about $20K a month from the channel, and all of it goes to charity.
Oh,
him and his wife pick a charity every single month. The whole money, the whole concept, all the money for it goes to charity. So that's like, I think that's kind of been his passion project since 2020, and he's just like, it was a really fascinating story. It's like most of the people we hear or we know of who are at this level, firstly don't operate like he's a family guy. Like it seems like outside of like maybe like obviously house, cars, all he spends on is like travel. So he's like he doesn't really like fancy stuff like clothes, that kind of thing. He's not like you.
Oh no.
No, it's not like me, I should say.
He just throws money into cars.
Yeah. I'm the kind of guy who would spend a bit of money on fitted clothes and stuff, but he's not like that. So he spends most of his money on cars, and he says the one thing that he will splash out on is like holiday homes. So he'll take like when he flies or wherever he goes away, he likes to like he'll pay first class for everyone, and he'll take like not just him, his wife, and I think he said 3 kids, but he'll take like aunties, uncles, close friends. So he likes to travel. He likes to have loads of people around. Like even like their house, when he's like, I watched a house tour of his, it's almost like built to accommodate a lot of people. He likes having people around all the time. So he's one of these guys who's kind of really kept his morals, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
you see, like when a lot of people get to like, I don't know how much liquid he has, but regardless, a net worth of 100 million plus, it's very hard to kind of see people who, first of all, don't compromise everything for business. I think a lot of people get to a point where they're like, oh, okay, I need to work, and then you're not picking up the kids from school, but he seems he's one of these guys. He's like, the family's first, and he said, I will drop everything today if I need to for the kids. I won't miss a baseball match. I won't miss a recital, and he's one of those kind of guys. And it was I thought you'd really like this because this is, I think, you probably agree, this is our.
I'll probably have to go search to see a bit on him.
Yeah, I thought you'd really like this. Like, obviously we I think you'd agree. We both kind of subscribe to that. It's like you can't forget that the reason you're doing business in the first place is for the family, and I think.
Yeah,
I think it's difficult, maybe because obviously when you're starting out, you need to put a lot of hours in. But I think once you get to a certain level, there's certain things you shouldn't compromise. You know what I'm saying? I think especially time, like a lot of the greats, like you hear. I'm talking greats all the way back to like Marcus Aurelius and those kind of guys. You hear they have like sons or daughters, and it's like they kind of mess up because these people aren't great parents, so they're lacking somewhere. But I highly respect someone who kind of gets the power level, and it's not all about like take over the world and conquer and that kind of thing. Sometimes you have to realize like the foundations, the reason it's doing the thing in the first place is for the family. And I just thought I'd share that.
That's a good one. I'm definitely gonna try and catch up on him and watch a few things about him, because those are the kind of stories that I usually like. You know, where you see someone come up.
It was really cool. I ended up just following him on Instagram as well. He's got nice cars on, first of all, but also like he seems like the kind of guy I was like, and he's kind of like awkward. Like you see him talk, and he's like kind of like an awkward-ish guy, and I was just like, at first I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this guy, but like you get that judgment. But no, I really like his content. I actually liked him. I think watch that iced coffee hour first.
Okay,
but also how crazy is it that you can build a $500 million business from such a unique interest?
Yeah,
it's wheels. Like it's not even just like cars. It's like wheels, custom wheels.
I think that's the thing, because he was solving a problem he has. And that's the thing, it's those type of businesses when someone goes to solve a problem that they're finding to be a thorn, sort of like in, you know what I mean? Like, those usually sort of like succeed because they spend more time sort of like thinking of themselves, the things they don't want to do, the things they think is difficult for them, and then it grows from there. Probably that's why he's still sort of like motivated to remain, because if he didn't like it, I'm sure, like I know he only has 40%, but I think he would have probably exited completely from the business. But because he probably the problem he's solving with the business, and the fact that he's so into cars, his side hustle, which he doesn't even get the money anyway, he sent it to charity, is into cars. So I think that's usually a win-win, when people go and do something that's sort of like centered to who they are. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's, you find it's much easier. I think a lot of people like to preach that, you should do what you love. And it's not really like too realistic. I don't think you find many people who are successful doing what they love. Some people are lucky to just like entrepreneurship in general. But I think this is like a good example of someone who really found something they liked and actually turned it into like a profitable business, and obviously thrived from it, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, I'll what you got, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, for me, I think mine, I'll probably roll it into one. My points. I think this week I looked more into the business of sport, and I was just fascinated, starting by how athletes like value themselves, and some would put a number and they'll stick to that number and they'll go all the way. I think you're familiar with Francis Ngannou. His story is not finished, but he bet on himself and put everything on the line to say, okay, this is my worth, and take it or leave it. And I think maybe in the next couple of weeks, I would like us to visit his story and just see, what he puts on the line, if it's worth it, in a long term, because at the moment he got offers and stuff like that. And before I touch the two topics I want to, the other person recently I found who I thought it did exactly the same, and I didn't realize he actually is winning until I watched his interview with Ariel, Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa said he won't fight for anything less than $1 million. Not too long ago. Like he said, he wouldn't.
Wow.
He said, I'm just comfortable. I have money. I'm rich. I'm not going in there to get punched in the face for less than $1 million. And Ariel asked him, like straight up, like, is it true you're getting paid $1 million to fight? He said, yeah. Wow. And I hadn't heard, like, because when he said it, that was some time ago, and he literally said, yeah, I wouldn't go in. And I listened to his interview, and what I like about him was he values himself. He knows his value. And at the moment, I think his contract is stalled because he said he wants a few things on the contract. One being the secret juice. You know about the secret juice?
No.
What's
that?
Yeah, that's his new brand. I think it started as sort of like a job from other people, like people saying, like he's juicing, what secret juice are you using, okay. Stuff like that. And he just took it. At the beginning, people thought it was like drugs or something, and he sort of like ran with it, and he put out a clothing line, and with like nothing more to it, just secret juice. Like, most of them black, navy, and I think he was selling them like $40, like $40 a pop, and they went out of stock very quick.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they went out of stock. He's gonna bring another drop, but his main goal is he wants to have like an energy drink kind of thing, like a nutritional drink. And he wanted to be the drink for UFC.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Like he said, he wanted to be the drink for UFC. And Ariel said to him, what about Prime? Because they have Prime at the moment. And he said, his answer was quite good, because he said, like, Prime is a hydration drink. His, it's not. It's a nutritional drink. So it's not a competitor.
Crazy.
I know.
So first question. First question. back to the $1 million per fight. Do you think he's worth that to the UFC for him to demand that much?
The fact he got it. You know, if you ask me before he got it, I'll probably say no. But the fact that he got it, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Fair enough,
you know
but
what I
obviously
mean?
you can also argue that wherever he made the $1 million was probably like his biggest fight, and he was not the draw.
Probably.
Like, you've got Israel, right? You've got
Yeah.
But also,
I wonder
also
who
when
he
you're
fight
saying
last.
to me, I don't remember who he fought last.
Yeah.
But also if you're telling me that he had a drop of t-shirts and they sold out very quickly, it's I don't know how many t-shirts he had, but obviously the like foreign fighters, especially Brazilian fighters, seem to have quite a big draw anyway. So maybe that probably adds to it. But to say to demand $1 million, like I think there's only a few people in the UFC that can turn
that can do that. But I think because he knows, I think he knows he got the draw. Do you know what I mean? Like if he has the draw, you see, because I didn't read him. You know what I mean? Like I didn't read him. So
that's
when
the thing, though.
Yeah, so when he said $1 million, I was like, pfft. So when he got asked this week, and he said yeah, and he wouldn't say yeah when he's not getting $1 million.
Okay, but how many times is he getting $1 million? Yes, that's the difference.
Thing.
Like
that, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that. But at the same time, he's saying like his new contract. I think he was. Who did it? I think there was a fight being put up. I can't remember who he was meant to fight, and he got sort of like delayed a few times. I forgot who is. And he said everything is sorted. The only problem I think is the secret juice. So which means the $1 million is sitting there. Because if he's saying he's not fighting, if it's not $1 million, and then he says everything is okay, we just have like this issue of me being on the sponsorship.
Secret juice.
The secret juice. Which means the $1 million is done. I don't know. Like I hope like we get to it.
And I think I have to admire that, you know, like you were saying, I have to admire that if you're willing to ask, then, you know, that's the only way you get it. And to me, I think the $1 million is guaranteed. Well, it's not guaranteed. I think the $1 million is in there, but I think the UFC is smart enough to say, listen, we'll have maybe 400 or 500,000 guaranteed, and then if you win, you get the other 5. That kind of deal, I can understand. But to say $1 million straight, I think only Conor McGregor, Israel,
easy,
Nate Diaz, maybe. Who's a big?
John
maybe
Jones?
Sean O'Malley. Yeah,
How
obviously
about John Jones?
Yeah, 100% John Jones. Like I said, maybe Sean O'Malley.
Even that, I don't think
push,
so, because
but
he's not title
so.
fighting. Yeah, it's
He's
popularity,
not
but he's not headlining like
yeah,
you know, the main
main
events kind of
cards.
thing.
So
Yeah,
and then the rest of the champions aren't that big of a draw. Maybe they'll get it, but just because the champions, like, you know, if you're talking, I don't know who's champion, maybe Volkanovski.
maybe Kamaru was getting it. I don't know what Kamaru was getting.
Yeah, I think if you hold the title, then $1 million seems like a fair amount. But if you're Paulo Costa, then you maybe
I want to see. Like I think I'm definitely want to see how that pans out, because I was shocked. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have. Yeah, I wouldn't have said
So am I.
You'll get $1 million for a fight. But anyway, that was just my thing. I wanted to touch up on Wrexham. Have you been following the Wrexham story?
So I think. Sorry, I think I think it's been fascinating because Ryan Reynolds owns a part of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know the. All I know is that Ryan Reynolds is
and his friend Rob.
Yeah, and some other guy bought it, but it's like a football team in the very low leagues in the UK.
It's actually in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, it is in Wales.
Yeah, and I think what I like about it is I think it shows you the power of with Wrexham. It's a good story, you know, like any footballing team that is from a small town, it's always a good story. But I think this is coupled with like good storytellers.
Right.
I mean, like, it's not only a good story, it's a good story being told by good storytellers. And what they've done with that club to be able to get a non-league, they've just got promoted now, but it's a non-league that they've managed to get, like, they get attention not only from like sports media, they get attention from like mainstream media. They talk about this club, you know what I mean? Like, they managed to ramp up so much momentum that for a club that is not in the league, like it's not part of the 92, it's non-league. And like, I'll give you some numbers that they've done in the past 24 months since they bought it.
All right.
On Twitter, I think at the time of their purchase, I think they were on 45k followers.
Right.
They are sitting right now on 508,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's pretty much more than 10x in it.
And that's on Twitter
TikTok,
as well, which is...
That's on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on TikTok, they were on 0.
Right.
And they are on 1.2 million.
Yeah, of course.
Followers.
Crazy.
And on Instagram, I didn't check their YouTube channel. I don't know if they have one. On Instagram, they were on 27,000. And they've risen to 828,000 followers.
Crazy.
And that's a team, like, not in the league. It will be next year, but it's not in the league. And I think that shows you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I think just a quick background for people who don't understand what this is. Not in the league. In British football, we have in professional British football, you have what are called the professional, I guess the proper leagues, the professional leagues, which is the Premier League, which is everyone knows, the big teams, Manchester, Arsenal, whatever. And then you have, is it 3 levels below that are in?
Yeah, you have Championship.
Yeah.
Then you have League 1, League 2.
League 1, League 2.
And National
And
League.
then you have, which is like a north and a south, right?
The conference, yeah, north and south. I think in total must be 92 teams, I think.
You're right, yeah. And it's like spread over, 5 or 6 levels. And Wrexham is a team that's underneath that, and they've just won promotion. They've just won their league, won basically their place to go up into the lowest level of the lowest level, which is crazy.
Yeah. So with those numbers, I would want to know from you, like, how far can they go? Not in terms of like not in terms of. I think for them to get the Premier League, it's gonna take a minute. But I'm just thinking in terms of stardom.
So I think it goes one of 2 ways. I think as long as Ryan Reynolds and Rob, remember this Rob guys, are still heavily invested in and pushing the project, I think, and they're still passionate about it, then I think they will find a way to drive fans to be interested. There's also, I think that the other way it could go, it could also just be a fad, because it's exciting now because it's nice and new, and it's only been, this American guy comes and buys a team that's that's struggling in a city that needed the help, and it's a good story. I know they had I don't know if it's an Amazon documentary, but they had a documentary somewhere.
They had one, I think.
Yeah, and I think that helped quite a lot. So there's a possibility that it could just be like, okay, we're all excited now, and then, it dies down. but it will have a following just because of the star power of the new owners. But I think, like you were saying, it's been run by storytellers, and if my gut instinct is like people like Ryan and Rob there, it's what he does. He's in Hollywood normally, so if that's a skill set that he's clearly good at, then I think they will always find a way to remarket, to repackage it in a way, where you package up the excitement. And the thing is, like, they have almost like an unfair advantage because players will start going there. I think, Ben Foster, who was like a Premier League goalkeeper, who retired technically last year or whatever,
and he played for
this
them.
year or whatever it was. Yeah, and he's joined the team. And you have people like that who will take like stupid wages, maybe like two grand a week or whatever it is, compared to like the 60 grand a week they normally make. But they know that the residuals from outside of that will bump up the rest of the money, and I think they'll get like an unfair advantage, which will help them also grow. And I think it'll probably push them to grow quicker than any other team in those leagues.
And do you know something else that I think it's sort of like growing momentum, which it's those are the things they're gonna get. They got, I think, when they won their league, Gareth Bale, being Welsh, sort of like, I think, tweeted to say congratulations, and Rob, the other guy, tweeted.
Who is this Rob? Who is this Rob guy? Like, what?
I don't know. I think it's like a producer or something.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a producer, but it's his friend. Yeah, so you can see how it's working in it. He tweeted Gareth Bale, and Gareth Bale, to paint a picture, he actually might be
the
one of
greatest
the
Welsh football. Is the
greatest Welsh footballer,
yeah.
and one of the most successful on a European level in in the British football. In football in general, whether they like it or not. Yeah, because he won a bunch of Champions League
titles too.
Before he left for Madrid, though, he had not won anything. Well, he won
and a single thing. He played for the worst team in the Premier League.
In the Premier League. And then he went to a team. And then he won stuff.
A proper
team. What I mean? That's why a proper team. It makes sense. We have had a player that came from there, came to over the other side, and he won stuff. That's what happens. So, we just stated the facts. Just the facts. And Rob Guy sort of like tweeted him to say, like Gareth Bale is known for, he likes golf. I think he likes golf more than he likes football. He's just good at football. And I think recently, he played on the PGA Tour recently. Golf.
Oh, wow, okay.
And apparently he's not bad. Apparently he's not bad. And that guy, Rob, tweeted him saying, he said, like, he challenged him for a round of golf. And he said, I promise you, we won't talk about playing for Wrexham. So there is like a rumor going that Gareth Bale might come out of retirement, play for them for nothing. So that is going to be the unfair part, because it's not even breaking financial rules, because these players will play for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll just have like $2,000 paid to them, but just go straight to charity, and they'll play for nothing.
Exactly.
And they'll get like sponsorship.
Yeah, big time sponsorship.
He'll get like a sponsor that will pay him to play for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those who are wondering why he would turn down the $2,000 a month, it's the guy who was playing at Real Madrid, making $600,000 a week for the past 6 years or wherever it was. So
he's not doing 2 years he didn't play. He's doing well. He even went to the LA Galaxy, played in for a bit on loan. I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah. So I want to see how far this will go. You know, especially next season when they're actually in the league proper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're getting, like, proper coverage on, like, Sky Sports and BT Sport and, like, ESPN. You know, all the big publishers are, like...
Which is unheard of for, like,
other thing. Which is, it's
for a team that small.
It's not something that normally happens. And... if you don't mind, can I throw in my second one there? Like, it's kind of
go for it.
For me, it's a business of sport today. The other one is Formula One. With Formula One, I think it kind of, for me, I'm thinking, when you look at Wrexham, if you want to see what can happen if you get good storytellers, tell your story.
Right.
Formula One, like, I'm a big Formula One fan, and you too, you're the same. Not many people understood Formula One. Like, they couldn't get it. Like, it's too complicated. And I think 2016, they got bought, I think, from Formula One Group. They got bought by what do you call it? I think I did it. Libert Media.
Right.
Libert Media Group. I think they own a bunch of, like, more things in media and a few sport things, and they got bought by them for, I think, reported 4.4 billion, and that was in 2016.
Okay.
And what they did was exactly what the playbook that Ryan Reynolds and Rob, the same playbook they're doing, where they took the club, they sort of, like, put the media behind it, put them on the spotlight, run, like, docu-series, and just get everybody to know what they're about, and just push through the masses. And Formula One did the same. When Libert Media bought them, 4.4 billion, they decided to do, because it was like an old boy kind of club. You know, the people that run the Formula One was Benny Eccleston and all these other guys. They were like 120 or something. You know what I mean? They were old. So, and they came in and they decided, okay, what can we do to make this, like, appealing? And the first thing they did was they brought a docu-series, which is Drive to Survive. Their main aim
on Netflix, right?
was, I think, on Netflix, yeah. Their main aim was to break into the American sort of, like, sports watchers and stuff. So with the docu-series, what it did as well was it showed people sort of, like, the behind the series. It also showed people the things that happens, because all people could see was just the cars going fast. But it managed to show the dynamic behind the contract negotiations, the stresses, sort of, like, everything that goes on. And that was a hit. Like, that just came out and it was a hit. And it also, I think, when was it? 2021. The season finale with Hamilton and Verstappen, I think that actually catapulted them even further, because people followed the season, having watched the 2020 Drive to Survive. People decided to watch the 2021 season, and it was gripping.
Oh, wow.
Like, it went all the way, because it went all the way, like, to the end, until Michael Massey, like, decided to hand the title to Verstappen. So, so basically in my books, it's Hamilton 8 titles, Verstappen 1, Michael Schumacher 7.
All right.
You know, I'm sticking to that. Okay.
It makes sense.
So with that in mind, that became a success, and Forbes in January of 2023, they released the valuation of the Formula One group. I want you to take a guess how much you think they're now worth. They bought them in 2016 for 4.4 billion.
That's crazy. I think it's so hard to build a company that's already worth that
Yeah,
much.
can you guess how much they're worth now?
I would say maybe 7.
They are worth, you need to put 1 in front of 7.
17 million.
17.1 billion.
Crazy. Wow.
Yeah, and that's nearly 400%.
That is absolutely amazing.
You should have thrown your money into Formula One.
I should have.
In 2016.
Whatever little money I had in 2016.
You know, when you did it, like 400%.
That is crazy.
And they haven't started. This weekend, they have changed the qualifying because I think it used to be Friday was just practice. Practice. We're talking about practice. And on Saturday, it used to be first practice, then qualifying, and then race on Sunday. They changed all that for this weekend for the first time. Like they changed last year, they did a few sprints, but what they've done now, on Friday, they do 1 hour of practice and then they do qualifying. Because what they're trying to do is to make sure when you come to Formula One on Friday, there's something to watch. You know, people were coming on Friday. Like Friday was never full. It was just like a couple thousand people show up, just here and there. But what they're trying to do, the Liberty Media, because they're broadcasting everything, and they're doing the docu-series. So on Friday there's qualifying, so everybody's taken serious. And then on Saturday there is, I think they're gonna do I wrote it down, the name, like the name kind of leaves me, like a sprint shootout,
which is,
it's sprint, but it's like, it's, you know, like they were doing sprint last year where they still sprint.
All right.
Like it's like the drivers goes and do not the full race. They just do like if it's a 60 lap race, they do like 30.
Right.
So they do half the race, but they do it, you know, nobody's stopping for tires or anything.
Right.
It's just all out. And then, yeah, and then in the afternoon they're doing the quali. So the sprint race is like 100 kilometers. The full race is like I don't know, 200 something usually. So they're doing pretty much half the race, and they get, I think they get points for winning that sprint race. So the tactic is totally different. You know, because with Formula One, to paint a picture, you do about, depending on the size of the circuit, some circuits are like 50 something laps, some are 70 something laps, like Monaco, like those are shorter. So it's like 75, 73. So what they're doing is you do the sprint, and then the first position get 8 points. So there's points to this. Okay. You know what I mean? And then
that's clever.
It's very clever. And then they get like first position get 8, then 8th position get 1 point. So the points are like a reverse. And then they will also do another sprint in the afternoon.
Okay.
But that sprint is like qualifying. So it's like literally the format of qualifying, but they change the time. So it's like 12 minutes for the Q1, and then 8 minutes, no, 12 minutes, 10 minutes for Q2, and 8 minutes for qualifying 3. And then that will set the grid for Sunday.
For Sunday's race. That is
Sunday,
the power of having.
So it's gonna be
the power of having a media company come in and change things is has to be underrated, right? Because see, these guys know more than anything. They understand that this is entertainment, and they know how to market to the viewer. And all of these ideas. I wonder who's like at the head of all this. Who's like kind of running this company now. I'll probably look into that after this. But this is
it would be good to look. And the thing is, I think that play is going through most sports, because me and you spoke about UFC. what did UFC do recently? Like the company that owns UFC, they bought WWE.
Yeah, WWE. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is WWE known for?
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? They're
exactly
so
that.
good at creating that spectacle,
Story.
with entertainment. So they brought them in because I'm sure they just want them for the parts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can get sort of like the people that are running that entertainment side of it. They can plug that into UFC and it just snowballs into.
Now thinking about it, when you say like they bought it in 2016, it seems like everyone has understood how important it is, like storytelling. Because if we go to basketball, you had Michael Jordan's documentary that released in during
during the COVID,
and that absolutely, like, I think that helped the NBA kind of bump. I don't know the numbers, but it bumped up the viewership. And then on top of that, football, the Amazon were coming out with the All or Nothing, where they have where they go to the different clubs every single a different club every year or two, and that's really helps as well. I remember like watching it with my partner, and she was like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean? It's like she enjoys watching Arsenal now, which is like
because she now knows the dynamics and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so
wow, that's incredible.
I think what we can learn from this is the power of like all media. You know what I mean? Like last week you spoke about Twitter. You know, like a Twitter account which is more like a parody, and they've managed to build things just around it. I think if you can control people's eyeballs and attention, I think that can convert into dollars. Like easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, easy.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was mine today, like with business of sport.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, what do you have?
Really good section. I'll do one more to round off. I think this one will be interesting because I think probably we don't see we don't really sit on opposite sides of things for a lot of things, but this I think we might. I want to talk about buying versus renting, obviously in terms of housing, and firstly, what are your thoughts on either side, and secondly, which one do you prefer?
I'm in the world where most people that I admire, most people I follow, most people that I consume every day, they're in the renting side.
Right.
And even with all that, I've failed to jump over to that side. I think for me it probably can maybe change with security. I think because I don't see myself as someone with security. Do you know what I mean? So I am a buying person. Like I'm more in the buying camp.
Right.
Over to you.
Yeah, it's interesting because to me, I think obviously we probably consume the same amount of the same types of content online or whatnot, and normally when people say that the renting, it resonates with me, but it's I think it's only now when I started listening to like quite a few of these people that I found a lot of people who agree with me in terms of renting. Because I think it kind of goes back to maybe how we grew up and maybe where we come from or how our parents grew up, because I think the dream for them was like if they own the house, that is like it. That is the ultimate goal. And like from young I've been taught like you have to buy your house. Like once you and whatever you do, you work your job or you can start your business, whatever you do, make sure you buy your house. And I think in principle, I think the idea is good. But me personally, I believe that I think you only buy a house when you get to a certain level of net worth. I think you only buy a house if you can afford to buy it outright. I'll tell you why. I'll give you a few a few reasons. See, if you rent, I live in the Midlands in the UK. If I want to rent a very nice house, and I'm talking 5-6 bedroom house with garage, sufficient land for the kids to run around in. You know, it's not London prices. It's not in London. You probably pay 15, maybe 20 grand a month. Around here, you can probably get that for 6,000 a month. You can rent a place like that. Obviously, you have the cost of running the place, but you have the cost of renting the place whether you buy it or rent it. So we can make that negligible. For a mortgage for that kind of place will probably be maybe 3.5, 4 grand, right? So I might be paying £1,000 more to rent, but I have the security of knowing that if anything goes wrong in that property, the liability is not with me.
Yeah.
If a boiler goes wrong, and trust me, when it gets to big houses, you have a couple of boilers, and you know what I'm saying, it's a very complex system. If a boiler goes wrong, and it's not just any standard boiler, you know places like that have 3 or 4 en suites plus the kitchen plus the normal bathroom. It might be 15 grand to replace it. That's something. If you own a house, to me, you always have to consistently think about that in the back. You always have to have a lump sum, because anything goes wrong, if the roof, anything goes wrong, you're liable. So me, essentially, I kind of see renting as you're paying that little extra for the convenience of not worrying about anything, which to me personally, I would pay to not worry. Secondly, I think buying a house I like being free. I think my whole philosophy on entrepreneurship is to buy me freedom, whether that's time, whether that's access, whether that's whatever. But with housing or with somewhere to live, I like to be able to say, you know what, I've had enough of Birmingham. I want to move to London. Or you know what, I went to Dubai and I really think maybe me and my family might move there. I don't like how the economy is, whatever. I want to move to Dubai. And all I have to do, go to my landlord. Most contracts will say you pay 3 months rent, or you can wait till someone else moves in, whatever. But you pay 3 months rent and I leave today. If you own a house, I don't know if people know how long it is to the process is to get a mortgage, list the house. You're talking a minimum of 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, for me personally, it's almost like a holding. It's like a hold that has on you. This is the biggest purchase that 99% of people make in their lives. And I think to put everything into it, and like I'm talking examples about 5-6 grand houses. Imagine you have like just a normal house. Just if you're just a normal person, you work in 9 to 5, you're paying £600 a month for your mortgage. Compared to me, I'm paying maybe 800 for that house to rent it. If a boiler goes wrong and you make 2 grand a month, and you have to buy a 4 grand boiler, and there's a very small amount of people who have 4 grand in savings anyway. That's such a toll on someone. You get what I'm saying? I feel like it's such a toll. To me, I think you only buy when you can. At least you either buy it outright. It might not make sense. But
yeah, I was gonna say buying outright is. Would you want all your money tied into a house?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. But I think I would only buy a house when I can afford to buy it outright, because I know, like, I'm strategically moving my money. I might not want let's say the house is whatever 2 million. I might not want my whole 2 million in there. I might put 500 grand down and pay the rest off as a mortgage. But that's a strategic decision that I'm making to say, okay, you know what, like, I actually just want to own the house, because I think once you get to higher end houses anyway, it's the options to rent are far less compared to house to quite a little less. And I think once you're at that level, you probably want to customize the house a lot more. You have the money to say, oh, let's break this wall and let's make this and do that, which is a freedom. Again, a freedom kind of thing that I'd like to work towards. But it's it's an interesting thing because I think, to me, like my first steps into entrepreneurship were always through property. I wanted to be an architect when I was younger. Like I've always loved property, so I learned property from very young, maybe like since I was maybe like 20 or 21. I've known codes, property laws. I know pretty much all the strategies that you can kind of make money in property. And I think a lot of people I think if you've worked hard to save up 20 grand of your money, and you don't want to build a business or whatever, and you have the choice of putting that 20 grand towards a house, maybe putting 10 grand as a deposit, and then use another 10 to kind of buy furniture and fix it up and blah 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 blah, or you have the choice of putting that 10 grand towards maybe a property that's not as the worst property on the nice street, and you can rent that out for just to a family for 800 grand a month, and you with the mortgage and whatever bills you have to pay, you make maybe like an extra 250 a month from it. To me, that seems more of a logical way to use your money, because I think at that point you're turning it from the one thing that you're spending the most money on to just maybe the most expensive thing that you own, but it makes you money every single month. I think this is where, like, to me, I think the propaganda around, like, not even propaganda, but I think the marketing around, like, banks essentially want to sell money, and there's this whole American dream and everyone deserves a house, and it's a good way to sell the money, and I think everyone should have a house, but I think it has to be a decision you make, either knowing that I'm okay for it not to be like an investment, and I'm okay just paying for this because my dream was always to buy a house, and in that case, then I'm like, you know what, I think you should buy a house. But from a pure strategic point of view, if my kids was to sit down and say, like, Dad, I've got 30 grand here, should I buy a house I live in, or should I buy a house to rent out? I think you know what my answer would be.
Yeah, I think just to add to the to the points on, well, for me to back up the side of buying, so that it's not too one-sided. I think it comes with the territory of, like, what's your long-term goal? Because with the house, I think for like medium to low income household, I don't think there is a better way to sort of like to invest in your future for most people in those like low to medium income, because what else can you do that you can say to yourself, okay, because you're always gonna still pay for your pension, which is what everybody else is sort of like looking at as the future. So everybody's doing it. You are working at whatever job you're doing. Everybody is already paying for their pension, and then you're sitting there thinking, am I better off putting like 40% of our salary into a house to rent, or should we put 30% of our money into a house in a form of mortgagee, even though that 30% can easily rise to 50 because something can go down, right? I think I'll always say to people within that bracket, there's no better way, because the capital growth when you own the house compared to when you don't, not when you're doing business. If you're doing business, or because it's difficult to even say if you're investing, because that's people that do those things, they are doing business kind of thing. They have the mindset of doing that, because most people, if they're not buying a house in the low to medium sort of like income bracket, what they'll end up doing is they'll convince themselves that they'll get like a private pension. Then that means you have to be very, very like strategic and very disciplined, because at least with a mortgage, the discipline is forced on you. You know what I mean? Like, you get that house, and you get your 25-year mortgage, and if you get the house at 25, let's say you get at 25,
right,
by the time you are 50 years old, if you're someone who doesn't take any risk, your mortgage is paid off. So it might not be like someone can come and say that's not the best investment. It doesn't matter, because that person, the alternative would have been renting for more, right? And use whatever is left to live life. That's what people do in that sort of bracket, whereby people above that bracket are always thinking, how can my money work for me? You know what I mean? Like, if, you wouldn't buy, but at the same time, you wouldn't spend your money like recklessly. You probably have like an idea of how your portfolio is, it's segmented. You'll be in the bracket of people that will say, my 10% of my money is in there, my 20% is there. Like, most people don't have that. Most people go to work, get paid, pay rent, and then they do it again. If there's extra money, they get a better car. If there's extra after that, they go on holiday. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, for me, that's the bit where I think it depends with the group of people. I think low to medium income people, I would say, go buy a house. Because, and when you buy a house, you don't learn anything about the equity in your house. Because if you learn the equity in your house, you always release your equity, and then that sort of defeat the purpose. Do you know what I mean? Because if you buy a house and probably no, I think people that buy a house and they not understand that there's equity in the house and they just pay the mortgage. It's as if they're paying rent.
Right.
Apart from the fact that sometimes the boiler goes down and then they're in trouble, but they just continue. You know what I mean? They get some money there, and then 25 years later, the mortgage is finished. It depends on when you started. If you started at 25, at 50 years old, you could be sitting there with 250, 300 grand. I think the average house at the moment is around 300 grand. So you could be sitting there with 300 grand in that house. At that point, that's, for me, if I'm at that point, depending, like, if I'm in a working class, which,
right,
I'm not in that group, like, as we speak. But if I was to continue in the working sort of like class, like sort of like environment, I think owning that house, getting to a point where I pay off my mortgage at like 50, and then I wouldn't want to own the house past that. I think I would sell the house, buy a smaller house, and then rent, and then find a way to give the money to my kids. Because if I die with all that money tied in the house,
right,
they are waiting for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think,
of course, there.
I think I would probably take that money and probably use it to put into like a retirement sort of like style. Those retirement living where it's like a rental of some sort. But I think between like, if you are working class, between sort of like the working age, it's difficult because most people don't, like, nobody really understands what to do with the money.
I think
people
you're right.
don't know what to do with it.
But you see, I think this is the problem that kind of goes both ways, because I think you see people are pretty reckless with money, right? And see the people, I think the majority of the people you're talking about are going to release equity at some point during that mortgage.
Not at some point.
This is the issue.
Every 2 years. Like every 2 years. Every 2 years they are releasing.
Literally.
They are always sitting at a 25-year-old mortgage until they don't qualify to a 25-year mortgage, and then they'll just walk away with nothing. So
literally. Which is the because like, I think if you're someone who's smart enough, to either pay the mortgage off early or just keep your payments and then not really care about the equity in it, you're probably better off like just I think just learn the basic like put your money into like an S&P 500 or whatever. I think it's outpaced the house prices over the past whatever. I don't know.
But it's the discipline,
years,
though. You know, like
but if
it's the
but
discipline.
this is what I'm saying. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. I think if you're someone who's disciplined enough to not know what the equity is and not want to check, knowing that is
no, that person is not.
I think
I'm hoping that person is not disciplined. They just don't know. There's no like Trevor. No, the thing is, here's the thing for me. It's not people though. It's their mortgage advisor. It's their financial advisor. They'll tell them because there is sort of like a benefit to them. They're the people that will call them after 2 years and say, well, your fixed mortgage is up. Here's the thing. Like,
you can do this.
Those are the people. If someone was to just get a mortgage and sort of like just live life, a lot of people would not know, but your mortgage advisor will start telling you, do you know you have money locked into this house? And you'll be like, oh, say what?
You can take 10,000 out and be like, what?
What? Can I do that? And I'm like, yeah, easy. You can just remortgage. I'm like, oh, I'm onto that. And then they keep doing that. And then it will come a time when they're like 60 years old. And then they'll be told, if you want to remortgage, you have to get a 10-year mortgage. And your mortgage price become like the mortgage payment now is 2.5 because you were paying over 25 years. Now you're paying over maybe 10 years. So that's now 2.5x. If you were paying 1,000, now you're paying 2.5 grand. And believe me, you are thinking of slowing down, not looking for more money. I think that's the sad part. You know what I mean? Like where it would have been nice if everybody sort of like, it's not even disciplined because people are not gonna be disciplined. If everybody didn't know, you know, like, if like there was a way that like people just had no clue, you know, and they just go on with your life, and then someone would just tell you like, you finished paying your mortgage now. Like, oh, what does that mean? You see that house? Yeah, it's worth 300 grand, and it's all yours. Then perfect, but that's
not time.
Exactly.
That's what they're thinking. They're like, what? 300?
So that's, and I think it's very, I would really like to, I think we have to revisit this, but I need to look more and try and understand. Because I've, like I said to you, my circle of people that I know in business or I watch on like YouTube or listen on podcasts, sort of like, and the people I'm around, people like yourself, like you have bought into the
you know what it is though.
I haven't. Like I'm very like I understand.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. You see, the business people we follow or that we know. The main thing for them is just that there's too much money tied in one asset. That's what it is. Yeah. Because why would I waste 25 years of my life tied up 300 grand in an asset when I can deploy 300 grand in business and make a lot more? That's the only exchange. Because if I gave you the choice to say, I'll pay off your 300 grand house, or let me give you 300 grand and see what you can do in the next 25 years with your business, I'm pretty sure you know.
Never mind 25 years. I will be releasing my equity.
Exactly.
You give it to me.
Exactly.
Like within the next 3 months, I'll be back to 25-year-old mortgage again, but I'll be 300,000 richer. I think that's the thing. Like it's very kind of difficult.
It is.
Yeah, it's very.
But you see, I think as entrepreneurs, it's hard to not see the opportunity that money brings. So it's hard, like, and we're talking about 300 grand houses. For them, they're probably paying like 10, 20. Most of these guys are paying 5, 10, 20 million, and they're probably thinking like, do I want to spend 25 years paying off 10 million, or do I just want to deploy? You know, I can just pay 5 grand a month. And the thing is, these are the kind of guys who will move, who are like, you know what, the tax rules have changed. Let's go here, and they want to be able to move like that. Okay, our business is booming. I need to go over there for the next 6 months. Boom, boom, boom. Whereas the irregular person wants stability. They want to stay in one place. They don't need to move so much. They don't need to use that money. If they use that money, it's not going to be in a responsible way, or at least to try and to multiply it. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have like a bravado, we have an ego where we think, you know what, if you just give me a little more, I can make a lot more. So it's like
I can do better. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I can multiply this into something.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. What time?
But yeah, I think we are 1 hour 10. Long episode, but it's fun. It's fun. So
yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
But yeah, we can wrap it up there. Thank you again to anyone who's made it this far. We still appreciate any feedback, anything that you guys would like us to talk about, anything that you guys think that we can do better, anything that you like that we want to know. So we very much appreciate that. We appreciate you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next, same time next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. Peace.